In this video, we're going to start our study of absolute values. We're going to see the algebraic definition as well as its geometric interpretation. So the absolute value, what it does is, well, if x is non-negative, if x is greater than or equal to 0, then the absolute value of x is just x. And if x is negative, then the absolute value of x is negative x. So what it does is takes a real number and it gives us its magnitude, its size. So the absolute value of a number is always greater than or equal to 0. Here notice that I split it into x greater than or equal to 0 and x less than 0. But if you wanted, the 0 case could be put in either way. So we could also split it as x greater than 0 and x less than or equal to 0. I just made this choice and it's actually the most common choice. Why is this? Well, because 0 is the same as negative 0, so it doesn't matter which one you pick. And here we have a quick example. The absolute value of 1 is just 1. The absolute value of negative pi, well, this is minus pi, which is just pi. Now, what is the geometric interpretation of this? Well, the absolute value of x is just the distance between x and the origin. And if we talk about the absolute value of x minus y, what this is giving me is the distance between x and y. And here we have an example. If r is a positive number, then what is the set of real number x's such that the absolute value of x minus a is less than r? Well, geometrically, this is the set of all points that are within distance r from a. So here is a picture. We have the real line, we have the point A. If I move r units to the right, I will be landing in the point A plus r. If I move r units to the left, then I will be in the point A minus r. So then x would be living here. X would be anywhere between A minus r and A plus r. And algebraically, this tells me is that the absolute value of x minus a is less than r, even only if, well, x minus a is between negative r and r. And, well, this is also the same as saying that x is between a minus r and a plus r, which is exactly what we got from our geometric picture. Absolute values have many important properties that you need to be very familiar with because you're going to need them all the time, especially when you're working with limits or any type of inequality with absolute values. These properties are going to pop up over and over again. The first one tells me that the absolute value of x is equal to 0 even only if x is equal to 0. What this is telling me is that the only number whose distance from 0 is 0 itself. Makes sense. The second property tells me that the absolute value of negative x is the same as the absolute value of x. Remember, the absolute value geometrically tells us the distance from 0. So if x is positive, for example, the absolute value of x, right, is the distance from 0 to x when we go to the right. But then negative x has the same distance from 0, it's just going to the left, and that's why the absolute values are the same. Now we have that the absolute value of the product is the product of the absolute values. You can check this by considering a few cases and you'll see that indeed this is the case. However, the same is not true for the absolute value of the sum. When we have the absolute value of x plus y, this is less than or equal to the absolute value of x plus the absolute value of y. Notice, is less than or equal to, is not equal. And this is called the triangle inequality. This one is one of the properties that you're going to be using the most in this course. So remember, triangle inequality, absolute value of x plus y, less than or equal to absolute value of x plus absolute value of y. And I invite you to think about under which conditions the absolute value of x plus y is equal to the absolute value of x plus the absolute value of y. I think that's a very valuable exercise. And then, last but not least, is what is often called the reverse triangle inequality. that tells me that the absolute value of x minus the absolute value of y is less than or equal to the absolute value of x minus 1. So please make sure that you constantly keep these inequalities in mind because you're going to need them quite a bit.